Welcome to Twisted Liquid RC Boats. This episode of Twisted Liquid RC Boats is proudly brought to you by Slycat Racing. For all of your RC boat needs, slycatracing.com. Good day, everybody, and welcome back to Twisted Liquid RC Boats. And I'm going to call this the start of the big Miss Boeing build. So I figured there was no better task to do than to do some simple laminating to start out this big boat project. And I took out the sponson ends, is what I'm going to call them, sponson backs, which need to be laminated together. They're 2/4 inch thick pieces in the kit. If you look at them, they have numbering on them. They have 7FL on this one, and they have 7BL. Now I also want you to notice that you're going to see some laser etched lines here in this one 7BL. And it's the same here on the one that's marked 7BR. L being for left, R being for right. These parts are labeled for simple use, and these laser etchings should remain visible outside so you can see them while you're working and building your boat. Now this is where I say using your eyes and common sense with no build manual for this boat sticks out. So you've got to look at the parts you're dealing with and see how you have to work with them. Figure it out for yourself. Having said that, I want you guys to notice something before we mix up some epoxy and start putting these 4 pieces together and turning them into 2. They are not identical. The sponsons on this boat are of a different design on each side, and I hope you can see that. So it makes referring to the parts pretty easy, but this boat is built what I would call asymmetrical, being different on either side, and you need to pay attention to that as you're building this boat. Now the Zip Kits boats I've built here before, we built them on a jig upside down. And when I pick up some MDF later this week and build a jig for this boat, we're going to build it right side up. So left is going to be our port side, right is going to be our starboard side. And I want you to notice that the laminating piece going on the right side, 7FR, has extra material on it as compared to 7FL for left. And that's because this area right here will be for putting a piece of aluminum as a support to mount a turn fin to. So once again, just using your eyes and setting up the parts and getting familiar with them before you assemble them is the best thing that you can do. Now I got these orientated so that if I mix up my epoxy and spread it on these sides, bring them together, I can laminate these together really easy, leave them to cure overnight, and that's my plan. Now guys, you could use binder clips and clamp all this together and laminate it that way, but I'm going to do it slightly different here. I'm trying to keep every piece of wood perfect as I build this boat, and I'm going to try very hard to do so as I go along. So I'm going to laminate them. I have a piece of wax paper laid on a spare piece of MDF here. I'm going to take them and I'm going to clamp them to the MDF with various clamps I got out here on the bench. I'm going to use my drill to weigh them down in one corner. I've already set it up and tried it so I know how I want to hold it. And once I mix up the epoxy and spread it and line them up, I'm going to clamp them to the MDF and I'm going to let them cure overnight and I'm going to leave them. That way they should remain perfectly flat, level, the way I want them. There should be no distortion in any wood at all when they're cured. And I'll have the sponson backs on my boat assembled. So there's no better way to start building a big boat than to get motivated about it and take on the very first step. So let's start building a big boat. Okay guys, got a very small batch of epoxy mixed up here. I'm going to do one sponson at a time and take my time and coat them and laminate them together and clamp them. Before I did, I took some 120 paper, merely removed any laser burn that was around the outside edge, and I'm using a West Systems 105 207 epoxy hardener to do this process. The reason I'm doing it this way instead of using G-Flex or something is it's going to act to seal the wood also as I'm assembling it together. And this epoxy will work great for doing the laminating procedure. So just a little bit of patience, like I've said, starting all builds will start to get you somewhere where you may want to go. And this isn't hurting any of this wood, it's only sealing it. And I should be able to keep my slots and everything really good and clean. Now that's a really nice coating on that, on both pieces. So I'm merely going to spin them and flip them over like so. And I'm going to bring the two of them together and align them on this MDF. I'm making sure that they're sitting on my wax paper so they don't stick to the MDF. I'm making sure I can keep them in perfect alignment. If I do have to clean a slot out, I will, but they all look relatively clean and won't be a headache to work with in the future. So I'm slowly going to start clamping this one together. And I'm going to keep it from moving, because that's going to be the biggest key here now, because the pieces are slippery. But working with this epoxy, you have a lot of time to work with it. So wiggling it and making it perfect before you clamp it, it's not a hard thing to do. And it comes down to the simple procedure of using your eyes again and watching what you're doing. I'm going to put the first clamp right there just to get a good hold on it, right on the corner. I want to keep these pieces as flat and as perfect as I can. I don't want a big headache with them. When they are cured, I will remove all the laser burn off both edges of them together. But right now, I am merely concentrating on getting them perfectly positioned and in one piece. Once I got one right there, I'm going to come in right here with another one. I'm going to take another clamp, making sure I'm perfect all around. I'm going to spread it, and I'm going to come in right here. I'm actually going to move this one down a little. I'm going to take one of my larger C-clamps, checking to make sure my alignment is still perfect as I'm going around it. And it is exactly the way I want it. I'm going to put a clamp in here to get it in as far as I can on the MDF and clamp down. Doesn't need huge tension, but enough to hold it together and probably see some epoxy squeezing out, which is what I see happening. And then finally, I'm going to take my drill and I'm going to weigh it right there, because that's 3 or 4 pounds. That'll keep it down in that corner. And I'm going to make sure that everything is sitting nice and flush, exactly like I want it. One time looking around it and feeling it with my finger to know it's perfectly set exactly where I'd like it. And I'm going to leave it to cure. And I'm going to say that that's the first sponson in the boat laminated together. That is the first of many steps. So let's get ourselves prepped and ready with another batch of epoxy. And let's do the same procedure with the other side. And let's say that we got the first episode in building the big boat conquered. Okay guys, we got another small batch of West Systems 105, 207 epoxy mixed up. We're going to proceed to move on to our second Sponson laminating procedure. We're going to get a good coat of epoxy on both the pieces and do exactly like you see that we done with the first one. As I told you guys while I done the first one, I'm in no panic to take steps one step at a time with this and break them down and do them in individual times. It gives me time to work, not in a rush, and that's the way I'm going to continue to be putting this boat together. This is mainly why I've started this little project, this big project I should say. Can't call this little. But this is why I'm starting this project so quick, I guess I should say. Because if you've got the materials already here from doing boat builds, there's nothing to hold you back. Now, I'll have to go pick up some stuff along the way as I'm building and doing steps, but there's really nothing here to hold you back from doing this. So, and I'm going to stay more dedicated to the channel than I did last year. I promise you guys. Even if you're just watching me do boring epoxy work like you're seeing me do now, you're still going to see more of me this season. And I am interested to see where I'll be in a couple months with this. I really am. And I'm planning on cleaning off all laser burn after I get the pieces together. Now guys, that's a really nice coating on two of those pieces of wood, right through them. It's definitely coated, there's no doubt about it. I'm going to flip the identical halves over like I like to do when I'm laminating. Know I'm putting them in proper position. Like I say guys, it only makes common sense to leave the laser etch lines visible. Burying them by laminating it from the other side just makes no common sense at all. And I could have used binder clamps like I told you to do this, but I'm really concentrating on keeping these pieces flat and level as I'm building them and as I'm assembling them and doing the laminating here. And if I can keep these perfectly flat like I want them, I will be very happy because they will be given time to cure. I can walk away from them and I can say that this little task is done. So I'm going to come in through this side like I done with the last one first. This one's really slippery, so he wants to move easy. There's a good coating on it. Like I say, you have lots of time to work with this West Systems. So wiggle it after you get it clamped once and not fully secure, and line everything up perfectly. Make sure all your slots are perfect. Make sure everything lines up perfectly. Once you know you got it good, clamp it again. Give it time to laminate and cure. And you can actually say that you probably got the first step in your big boat build done. Now as you're clamping, keep an good eye on it. Don't let it skate. Don't let it move on you. Hold it while you're clamping it, so it can't move and it stays in a perfect position. If some epoxy squeezes out, it's no big deal. You're going to sand it off anyways when you remove the laser burn. But go around the edges with your fingers and you'll know if you got the piece in perfect position. And once you do, just clamp it and leave it cure. And let it cure really well. I'm going to try some alternate methods like this as I'm building this boat, guys. It's just, like I say, binder clamps would have worked, but I kind of like to do this one an alternate way. My position is perfect here. I'm going to lay my other drill right there for weight to keep this one down. I'm going to double check everything in front of your face. Knocked over my drill index, but that's no big deal. I'm going to look and make sure everything is great, which it is. Use your eyes, guys. Use your eyes. They will show you everything. And guys, all I can say is that's 4 pieces of wood made into 2. And that is the first step in the build of the Miss Boeing boat done. I hope you guys continue to watch this build. I'm going to take my time. I may even try and conquer a step with this boat every day and see how far I can quickly get in the construction of this extra large hydroplane. I can't thank you guys enough for watching. I hope you can tell that I'm very motivated about this project. And I'm very motivated about the next boat we're going to build, which is the Blazer Marine Louderback here. The kit's here, all the hardware is here to build it, all the parts, everything. I still need to get a lot to do this big boat, but there's lots of little tiny steps that I can do along the way because, like I said to you, I have the materials, I have the stuff to do it, and if I keep conquering steps every day, I'm eventually going to end up with my dream boat, guys. I want you to take care of yourselves. I want you to have a good day. That's the first official episode of Miss Boeing done. Take care of yourselves. I'll catch you in the next episode. Thanks for watching, everyone. Feel free to like and subscribe. Take care and stay safe.